Sokolowski's University Inn, my favorite place to eat in town. Mike and Bernie, I love you boys. They've been taking great care of me and my family for years. You've been, right?
Absolutely.
What's your favorite thing to eat at Sokolowski?
I like to just kind of walk along the cafeteria line and see what strikes me. It just kind of...
There's an easy answer.
Yeah.
Salisbury steak, side of pierogies, with the piece of chocolate cream pie to top it off. Very light lunch.
Yeah, that's right.
But seriously, Sokolowski's University Inn, Mike and Bernie Sokolowski, they're two terrific guys, great family, been around for eons, as they would say.
That's right.
Great place to eat. Give us a call, 216-575-0403. Todd Derry from theclevelandfan.com and Paul Cousineau from theclevelandfan.com. Paul also writes over at his home blog, thediatribe.com, and I write at dumpcaseyblake.blogspot.com. So if you're interested at all in reading some of our garbage, as you say, give us a click. We were talking in the break before the break a little bit about the prospects the Indians got. Tell us a little bit about John Malone. I know you've done some research on him.
Malone is an interesting guy. Malone was from the University of Arizona, and he was a starter at Arizona and posted some pretty impressive numbers as a starter there. I think he went 27-2 his junior and senior seasons combined. He was drafted by the Dodgers, and they decided to convert him to a reliever, where he posted some ridiculous strikeout numbers, where he was for over 2 years striking out almost a batter and a half every inning, and had 5 strikeouts to every walk that he had. Progressed very quickly through the Dodger organization. Actually had a cup of coffee with him last year as a reliever. Going into this season, then, what the Dodgers decided is, with the dearth of starting pitching that they had, they decided to try to see if he could revert back to being a starting pitcher and help them, the parent club, out at all as a starting pitcher. And he did not do very well in AAA Las Vegas. So the numbers that you see when he was traded for 2007 reflect his numbers as a starter, which is the first year that he was actually a starter in the minor leagues. Prior to that, the previous 2 years, he had posted reliever numbers that more or less project as a back end of the bullpen guy who does strike out people. He's a hard-throwing right-hander, throws low to mid-90s, has a curveball, has a slider, so he is able to have some bats be missed, which is what is lacking, frankly, in the back end of the bullpen right now.
And this is a guy that can help us pretty much right now, right?
I would think that if we don't see him in the month of August, he'll definitely come up in the September call-ups. Since he was called up last year by the Dodgers, his clock has started, so the options are going. Like I said, if we don't see him here by the end of the year, I'd be very surprised with him really being in the mix for the 2009 pen.
Speaking of that bullpen, Rafael Betancourt has been a big sore spot for this team. Do you think it's a one-year fluke, or do you think that there's something structural? I mean, the guy has been holding on his elbow,
right,
by a steel rod for the last 4 years. So,
I don't know. Going into the season, I don't think many people expected that Joe Borowski was going to hang on for the season. I'd like to see a show of hands of anybody who thought that Borowski would make it through the season as a closer. But I think that a lot of people thought that the depth that they had with Betancourt, Perez, and Lewis were going to be able to slot up. Yeah. And the failure of Betancourt has been one of the bigger disappointments of the season.
And I know somebody who's very disappointed in Rafael Betancourt, and that is Matt Derry from WDFN in Detroit, also known as my brother. Sports director there at WDFN, also has Pistons Radio Network, and knows more about the Indians than 99.9% of the people in this world. So, Matty, how are you?
Boys, what's going on, Todd? How's that big chair, brother?
Oh, it feels good. Keeping it warm for less. I have a little less room back here than he does, but we're doing all good. You missed the Sokolowski spot, which I know you're a big fan of, but
yeah.
So, Matty, talk a little bit about earlier in the day. You're in tune with the Tigers. Pudge Rodriguez was traded to the Yankees for Kyle Farnsworth, which is kind of a head-scratcher on both ends. Give us your thoughts and what they're saying in Detroit about that right now.
Well, people are not as upset as I thought they'd be because apparently Pudge wanted out. He waived the no-trade, looking to play every single day and be the man again. Pudge is big on me and I, so he's going to get an opportunity. The last few weeks, Jim Leland's played Brandon Inge a little bit more. At one point when Pudge was struggling about a month and a half ago, he said these two guys are going to split time behind the plate. That didn't sit well with Pudge. He didn't play in all 3 games over the weekend against the White Sox. Wanted to play in all 3. So I guess now they feel that it's Brandon Inge's time, even though he's hitting .227, which makes no sense. But the bullpen's been a mess. Look, we all watched the game last night. The Tribe probably should have lost that game 8-1, but the Tiger bullpen kept them in it by constantly beaning Garco, walking AC, throwing the ball all over the place. So bullpen needed help, and Farnsworth is back. He was here back in '05 for a cup of coffee, and now he returns.
Well, talk a little bit about that back end of the Tiger pen. I know Todd Jones was replaced the other day, and the reports were that he was a little teary-eyed. As you know, and I've heard you say before, he's their version of Joe Borowski. The Indians cut the cord on that a little bit earlier. Should have the Tigers have gotten rid of Todd Jones a little bit earlier and just gone with, I guess Rodney and Zumaya were injured earlier, but should they have cut the cord on him earlier?
Probably. I mean, that game Friday night was just an absolute backbreaker for them to lose, and down to their last strike, Quentin singles, and then Jermaine Dye with a little 2-run slice. So you look up now and say, okay, now Fernando Rodney's the closer. He's never done it before. This is an opportunity for him, but this is a Tiger team only 5.5 back. The White Sox, 2 games in Minnesota have been very unimpressive, especially from the pitching standpoint. So the Tigers are still in it. Yet the bullpen, who knows who's going to pitch the 9th tonight? Is it going to be Rodney? Can Zumaya pitch back-to-back nights? Farnsworth won't get here till tomorrow. Won't get to Cleveland till tomorrow. So I'm assuming that you go into the situation with just sort of trying to figure out how to piece it all together. And I think for now, Farnsworth will probably be the 7th or 8th inning guy with Zumaya, and Rodney closes. But they've had a lot of problems putting the ball over the plate. Jones did it, but people were hitting it.
Oh, go ahead, Paul.
Matt, how do you think that the Pudge trade would affect the clubhouse? I know that they were reporting earlier in the season that the clubhouse was very cliquey, and there was some chemistry issues. Was Pudge a factor in those issues?
Absolutely, Paul. I think that this clubhouse is not as clicking in terms of everybody getting along as it did in '06 when they had that magical run to the World Series, and gosh darn it, they lost. But I think that, like I said, Pudge is a me guy. He's got the big locker in the corner, and I do think there are going to be some guys there that will miss him, but I think there's others that won't. The other night, Friday night, was a prime example. He tried to be the hero and throw a guy out at third when he booted a pass ball, then picked it up and chucked it into left field. A smarter catcher and a guy that maybe isn't all about himself would have eaten that ball, runner would have been at third, and the pitcher would have still had an opportunity to get out of the inning. Instead, Pudge tries to be a hero and chucks the ball into left field. So it doesn't take a lot of pitches. Really not good in the clutch anymore. In New York, they're going to see that if they're looking for a big-time clutch hit like maybe the Marlins got with Pudge when they won the World Series years ago, he doesn't deliver those much anymore. He doesn't take a lot of walks either.
Matty, I got about 90 seconds. Let's talk some Tribe, huh?
Absolutely.
All right. David DeLucci, your thoughts?
I want to know why this dude is he in the lineup tonight? No, he can't be against Robertson. But, if, let's say, some odd reason, Franklin Gutierrez actually runs into one tonight, luckily, and maybe hits a bomb, play him again tomorrow against Verlander. I know DeLucci probably will play, but, man, oh, man, I don't get why this guy is. I guess you have to play guys sometime, but the amount of time doesn't make any sense.
I think you have to play a guy with a beard. And DeLucci's filling that role right now.
Now the case late on,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. There's a minimum amount of play to have a beard, and DeLucci is the guy.
And look, obviously, this was last year of his deal. He would have been traded already to some team that wanted a pitcher.
Or designated for assignment now.
But we're hoping that if it's hot, he can come back to man. Hey, look, I think Shapiro does a job, but it's obviously swung and missed.
I really appreciate you taking time to come your very busy schedule over in Detroit. You want to plug anything?
I'm not plugging anything. I'm starting a new cause, and you may see it on one guy's blogs. Manny Ramirez back to Tribe next season.
All right, that's interesting. We will talk in the next segment. Should I bring Manny Ramirez back? I don't know. Matt, appreciate it. You have a good evening after the show. I'm sure.
Got it.
Right, Matt Derry, FN in Detroit. 657-403. More sports and less Levine. Brought to you by McDonald's restaurants in Northeastern Ohio, and I'm Love It.